Opening the door of his home with spare keys, a very furious man walked inside. He threw his laptop back on the couch, not so lightly. A sat on the couch man spreading. He harshly removed his blazer and tossed it somewhere in the living room. He rubbed his face with his palms, resting his elbows on his knees. He let out a frustrated sigh, stretching his back on the couch and loosened up his tie. Guess he had a bad day at work, and every other thing is only adding up to his frustration. Whether it was dim lights of the living room or the sound of ongoing show on the TV, he searched for the remote and turned it off. He closed his eyes and threw his head back on the couch, sighing for the umpteenth time. He opened his eyes when he felt a tap on his shoulder. He witnessed his wife standing with a glass of water with the most warmest smile ever. He took the glass of water and gulped it in one go. She sat beside him, still having that smile on her face. How was your day? She tried to initiate a conversation with him. Fine, he shortly replied without looking at her. She frowned at his dry reply. She opened her mouth to say something, but he spoke first. Why did you leave the TV on? Oh, I was watching the show, but when I saw you coming, I went to kitchen to brought you a glass of water. You could have turned it off, he uttered coldly. One blinked at her eyes at the coldness in his talks. I just went for like 40 seconds. Whatever. Next time, make sure to not leave it on. He said with slight irritation in his voice. He was talking to her, but not even once he looked at her. She stared at his side profile, noticing his jaw clenching or unclenching with time. I. Never mind. Go and freshen up. I'll serve the dinner. Not wanting to exaggerate this silly matter more, after knowing that he was already frustrated, she changed the topic. I don't want to eat. She sighed and held his hand between her hands. I know you are exhausted from work, but skipping dinner is not a good idea. Let's go and eat. I made your favorites. Let's dig in together. She stated with an exciting tone, trying to cheer him up. He dragged his hand back from her hold and tilted his head to face her. I said I don't want to eat. He raised his voice at the last. Wine exhaled a deep breath, trying to calm herself. Fine if you don't want to eat. Should I make you coffee or anything? She asked him calmly, trying not to lose her cool. Can you please stop annoying me? Why are you yelling at me? Cause you are irritating me. I am already very frustrated. Wine looked at him with burning gaze and stood up from her seat. Fine, do whatever you want and don't you dare to talk to me. Go to hell. She stomped towards the shared bedroom, cursing him under her breath. Jimmy looked at her go and punched the couch in frustration. Why the hell did I shout at her? I made her mad. No doubt Taeyong called me Pabo. I have to apologize to her, but she was very angry. What if she beat me? Oh no. Wow, just few moments ago he was growling like an angry lion. Now look at this man being a scaredy cat. He should have thought about it before shouting at her. Now what is the use of regretting when the damage is already done? Meanwhile, Vine came in the room cursing her husband. What does he think of himself that he will yell at me and I will listen to him? I am not from those typical wives who will follow their husbands blindly. I know how to fix my husband. After all, I am black belt in karate. She said to herself and made a karate pose. She kicked the bed making a weird noise but regretted it the next second. She rolled her eyes and bit her lips to control her scream while holding her foot, with which she just kicked, trying to be a kung fu master. She rubbed her foot to ease the pain, letting out low whimpers. After massaging it for some time, she let out a sigh of relief. I think I need to start practicing again. Saying that, she went towards the bathroom limping. She decided to take a shower to calm herself. She slipped out of her clothes and stepped into the shower after turning it on. She heaved out a sigh as soon as the hot water came in the contact with her tired body. The hot water dropped from her head down to her whole body. It felt relaxing. It felt like the hot water sucking out the tension of her sore muscles. She closed her eyes and thought about the earlier argument. Meanwhile, Jimin came in the room to apologize to her for his behavior, but he didn't find her there. He heard the sound of shower running, indicating she was taking a shower. He sat on the bed to wait for her until she was done, but then an idea popped up in his mind. He looked at the bathroom door and nibbled his lower lip, battling with his mind. He was hesitant about his decision. 2 months of marriage, arranged marriage if called correct. Though Jimin and Ryan love each other, hugging and kissing was a normal thing between them, but they were still at the initial stage of their relationship, and so joining her in the shower was a big thing. After battling with his mind for some time, he finally decided to go in, ready to face the consequences of his damn big idea. He warmed up his cheeks beforehand in case she would reward him for this. He went to the door and twisted the doorknob really quietly, and to his luck, it was not locked. He closed his eyes and got in, closing the door behind. He slowly opened his eyes, and oh boy, the scene in front of him made his jaw drop to the floor. There his wife taking shower all naked. The sight was already mesmerizing for him, and the hot water on her bare body, emblazoned with the steam, wasn't helping either. It was hypnotizing for him. It was attracting him, just like two opposite magnetic poles attract each other. Within some seconds, he was also standing naked. His clothes were dropped on the floor beside his feet. He slowly moved towards her like a string was pulling him. Everything about her is beautiful, from her long, wet, wavy hair to her not so slim waist, to her round, and down to her legs, which have little cellulite. Every body is beautiful. It doesn't matter what is the shape, the size, the skin color, or the so called society's stereotype. The thing that one should learn is to love oneself and let the negative people bark because they will always do it, even you became the ideal according to society. They will find a way or other to criticize. We can't change someone's thought, but we definitely shouldn't change ourselves according to someone else's liking. He went behind her and slided his cold hands on her warm waist, which made her flinch, but she soon relaxed, feeling the familiar touch. He collected her wet hair from one side and tucked them on the other side. He nuzzled his face on her neck. A chill ran down her spine, and she closed her eyes at his sensual touch. When he felt that she wasn't uncomfortable with his touch, then he tightened his grip on her waist, bringing her body more closer to his. Her bare back was touching his bare puffed chest. She gasped at this skin to skin contact. He nuzzled his nose from her bare shoulder to all the way up to her earlobe. I am sorry. I'm really sorry. I shouldn't have yelled at you earlier. He whispered near her ear with his deep raspy voice and leaned a back on her earlobe afterwards. Meanwhile his thumb was caressing her waist, which made her let out a silent moan. He leaned back a little and made her turn so that now she was facing him, her eyes closed and parted lips and chest heaving up and down. He kept staring at her with a small smile, but his smile dropped and jealousy took over him. Jealousy with water droplets which were falling on her head and going down while kissing her lips. For him, nobody has right to do that except him. He leaned forward closer to her face and captured her lips with hand moved from her waist to her neck, pulling her more closer while she rested her hands on his biceps. Their lips molded perfectly with each other and moving in sync. The kiss was slow and full of love. If oxygen wasn't the need, then they wouldn't have pulled back from the kiss ever. They pulled back, breathing heavily. Slowly opening their eyes, they both stared at each other. Their eyes always show love and respect for each other, but now they have one more emotion: desire. Desire to have each other, desire to devour each other, desire to love each other till the dawn. The ambience around them was sensual and erotic, which was awakening different. Their lips again met for a kiss. It initiated soft and slow, but soon turned into rough and passionate. He walked forward, making her walk back, still devouring each other's lips. She gasped in the kiss when the cold wall came in the contact with her back. He rested his hands on either side of her head, leaving her lips. His kisses moved to her jaw and neck, leaving trails of wet kisses. The shower was long forgotten. Biting and sucking her soft skin, he soon decorated her neck with his art. She can't help but let out small whimpers whenever he sucked her skin. She squeezed his biceps, digging her nails in with this overwhelming feeling. He wanted to move further, but he needed her consent. Leaving a peck at his artwork, he moved near her ears and said, "You want me to go further?" he asked while Vine was still trying to catch her breath. Her heart was thumping loudly inside the ribcage that even Jimin could hear it. Same goes to Jimin. His heart wasn't at peace. It was racing at a fast pace. He leaned back and looked at her face, which was red first due to shower and then due to his torture. He brought his hand on her cheek, which made her look at him. Do you want to be mine completely? Do you want me to do things which we never did but should do? Do you allow me to make love to you? His shy smile spread across her lips and she looked down, avoiding his intense gaze. Look at me. His voice was soft yet demanding, which made her look at him. I need your consent if you'd want to do more. She was nervous and scared, but the man standing in front of her, she trusted him. She loved him and she knew that he would do anything but hurt her. His thumb was caressing her cheekbone, looking at her for an answer. Though her eyes said everything, but he needed a vocal answer. When she didn't say anything, he pecked her lips and said, It's okay, take your time, there is no rush. He gave a warm smile, but before he could back off, she acted quickly and attached her lips with his. She moved her one hand from his bicep to his nape and then tangled up with his silky black and wet hair. She massaged his scalp with her fingertips, which made him moan in the kiss. This gave her the opportunity to slide her tongue inside his mouth. He didn't find for dominance, but surrender in front of his wife. The bathroom filled with the smooching sound along with the sound of water running. After a long kiss, they pulled out, breathing heavily. Take me, she whispered near his lips. A smile spread across his lips, and heat crept on his cheeks, turning it into a light pink shade. Sure. Instead of answering, Wine lashed her lips on his neck, marking him as hers. And soon the bathroom filled with their morning sound and the smell of their lovemaking. Their bodies tangled up together, moving and swarming in sync. Their souls became one. They gave each other their chastity and dignity with no doubt, only love. They let each other explore the deepest part of their souls. They cherished the nuptial bond with utmost love and care. The pain felt sweet yet overwhelming, both holding each other like they will never let go. Eyes rolling back and tears left her eyes when she reached at the peak of pleasure. His face was buried in the crook of her neck, moaning in her ear, leaving open mouthed kisses on her skin every now and then. Both the maids were breathing heavily after their heated session, eyes closed and forehead resting against each other. Jimmy slowly opened his eyes and grinned ear to ear, looking at his wife. Eyes closed, swollen and parted, rosy lips illuminated with the pink shade on her face. Just having up and down as she tried to catch her breath. He was feeling blessed that only he has right to see this delightful sight. He leaned back to have a good look at her face, a smile never leaving his lips. And for Vian, it was really miraculous feeling. If Jimin wasn't holding her, she would have ended on floor. She slowly opened her eyes when she felt warm lips of her husband on her forehead. A shy smile spread across her lips, and she looked everywhere but him, while the man in front of her was desperate for her one glance. Look at me, please. His voice was soft and angelic. She gathered her courage and finally did what he wanted. His smile got wider. I love you, beautiful. I'll always love you till the stupid heart of mine stopped beating. Don't say like that. I'm serious. I was stupid to yell at you earlier without your fault. And I'm really sorry. I promise that won't happen again ever. She smiled and cupped his cheeks. Tiptoeing, she placed a soft peck on his forehead. Apology accepted, and I love you more. Let's clean up. She nodded and they took a shower together with some more kisses and lovely dogs. After finishing the shower, Jimmy wrapped a towel around his lower abdomen and made her wear a bathrobe. He picked her up and bride aside. Jimin, I can walk. I'll make sure that next time you can't. She flushed and hid her face on his chest, which made him chuckle. He took her in the bedroom and placed her on the bed. He then got dressed in a pair of sweatpants only, still shirtless, and went out after leaving a peck on her lips. Now where are you going? I'm coming till then, get dressed, only if you don't want me to love you again. He winked and ran out giggling when Ryan threw a pillow at his direction. This perverted man. She quickly got dressed and dried her hair. That's when Jimin came and sat with a tray of food. Vine turned to him and raised her eyebrows, questioning him. I'm hungry and I know you too. So let's eat. Oh, so you are hungry now? I thought you didn't want to eat. She He teased and he pouted, placing the tray on the nightstand and came up to her. I was angry that time, but you know that I can't resist the food made by you, and you also. One cleared her throat and looked away to hide her blushing cheeks due to his flirting. Let's eat. Okay. He quickly went and sat on the bed and placed the tray in center. Wine sat beside him and they both took it. Talking and feeding each other, their night went on. And after eating, they called it a good night in each other's arms. The conversation, which initiated with an argument, ended up with them loving each other endlessly. It brought them more closer. Life is like that also. Sometimes sweet, sometimes salty, sometimes bitter. But time passed, only these bittersweet memories left for one to cherish. I pray to Almighty that this new year brings lots and lots of happiness and new opportunities in your life. May you all achieve what you dreamed for.